Chapter 6. The Nobility, the Gentry, the Rabble. "Who are you?" asked Dawn, backing away in fear. Suddenly, one of the largest ravens swooped down and landed. Caw, caw! The silhouette of the women stared back at Dawn. The raven cocked its head, regarding her too. The spinning wheel continued to smolder with emerald flames. A drop of Dawn's blood still clung to the spindle. Then, in a dramatic gesture, the woman lifted her arms. The robes made them look almost like wings. She cackled again. The raven joined in, cawing loudly. The emerald flames licked higher. Dawn started to sweat. The dark horned shadow loomed over her. She brought her staff down, smack, making the raven caw and flap its wings. Her voice echoed out of the fire. "My true name is Maleficent," she said in a commanding voice. What are you?" Dawn ventured. "Ah, so many questions for such a little girl," Maleficent trilled, running her fingers over the raven's head. It leaned into her strokes. "But if you must know, I'm a fairy." "How is that possible?" Dawn asked. Maleficent bowed her head. "Many ages ago, I lost my spinning wheel. It was stolen and hidden from me. Now that I've been summoned, I want it back." Dawn blinked at her in confusion. Everything felt so unreal, so impossible, and so terribly frightening. She kept expecting it to be another bad dream, like the nightmare she had about the roses. But every time her eyes popped open, the woman was still there. She tried pinching herself, but still the dark fairy remained. The emerald flames and the raven also stayed put. Dawn didn't know what else to do, so she spoke carefully. "But how did you find me?" Dawn asked, still trying to process what she was seeing and hearing. "Your blood," Maleficent said, gesturing to the spindle. "When you pricked your finger, the dark magic summoned me here. It wasn't on purpose then?" Dawn peered down at her finger. A pinprick of blood still grazed the tip. Understanding washed over her. So that was what had summoned Maleficent. "You want the spinning wheel?" she asked. "Yes, it's infused with a great deal of my power," Maleficent said in a slightly bored voice, as if she were speaking to someone beneath her. "Then why don't you just take it?" Dawn asked with a frown. Maleficent shook her head. "Even my powers have limits. Those simple fools curse the wheel with powerful protection spells. If I try that, the curse will kill me." "Curse? Protection spells?" That all sounded ominous. Dawn's heart thumped louder, faster, and she felt herself wanting to run away out of the shed. But something else kept her frozen there. It was curiosity, she realized. The powerful, contrasting emotions battled in her heart. Dawn needed to know more. Plus, she wasn't totally sure that what she was seeing was actually real. Finally, she found her voice. It trembled, but it was clear enough. "Well, then how do you get the wheel back?" Dawn asked the fairy. "It must be willingly given to me by the owner of the spinning wheel," Maleficent responded, tapping her fingers on her staff impatiently. "The owner?" Dawn said, feeling unsure. "Yes, and that appears to be you." "Me?" Dawn said, backing away. "Sure, she discovered the spinning wheel." But did that mean it belonged to her? Technically, didn't it belong to her aunts? If she gave it away, wasn't that stealing? The incident flashed through her head. She couldn't afford to get in trouble again. The fairy's voice snapped her back to attention. You discovered it, did you not? Maleficent said peevishly. You summoned me here? So clearly that means the wheel belongs to you. I guess so, Dawn said, biting her lip. Then hand it over and let's get done with this, Maleficent said. Her patience was clearly wearing thin, and so was the raven's. It flapped its wings in anger. Dawn glanced at the wheel again. Green flames still smoldered, making it look dangerous to touch. Like a warning, her whole body shivered with fear, despite the searing heat coming from the flames. This is blood magic, she realized. That couldn't be a good thing. She started to back away slowly toward the door. Maleficent's eyes flashed with anger, but then the fairy got a hold of herself. Her whole demeanor changed, as if she wished to lure Dawn back toward her. She spoke in a measured voice, devoid of the irritation it had possessed only a moment before. Oh, come now. Why so melancholy? Maleficent asked. The voice drew Dawn's attention, and she found herself wanting to stay longer. Was this a spell, or simply a manipulation? Regardless, Maleficent sounded soothing and hypnotic. Suddenly, Dawn felt her fears melting away. All thoughts of retreating vanished from her mind. What happened to you? Maleficent went on in the same calm voice, her expression kind and understanding. My child, I can sense your sadness. Could the fairy read her mind? Dawn knew that she shouldn't say anything. She should get her aunts and tell them about the wheel and the flames and how she had pricked her finger. But something stopped her. Revenge simmered in her heart. Nobody in Castletown believed her about Leah, but something told her that this fairy just might. It's this girl, at my new school, Dawn heard herself confessing, despite her earlier trepidation. She played a cruel trick on me and didn't invite me to her birthday party today. The fairy gasped in sympathy. My dear precious girl, you must feel quite distressed not receiving an invitation, Maleficent hissed, bringing her staff down. Dawn was surprised. That was exactly how she felt. How did this fairy understand all of that? Yeah, she invited everybody in my class and told people I was a criminal, Dawn went on, feeling the words tumbling from her lips. Maleficent brought her hand to her chest in horror. She invited everyone? The nobility? The gentry? Even the rabble? And then she called you names? Dawn sniffled and nodded, finally feeling like somebody in this awful place understood her. Not getting invited to a party is something I know a little bit about, Maleficent said. If you return my spinning wheel, I'll help you teach that poor, simple fool a lesson. Dawn was excited, but then she hesitated. I don't know if that's such a good idea. My father is the mayor, or her father is the mayor, and she's like a princess here. Maleficent cackled, raising her arms so her robe resembled wings. Even princesses need to be taught lessons, the fairy explained, and the rest of the party rabble too. I can make sure they pay for what they did to you. Dawn still felt unsure. Wasn't revenge a bad thing? But then she remembered the social media posts and how Leah treated her. She could still hear her classmates' jeering laughter. Criminal. and Leah's lies. Before Dawn knew what she was doing, her lips started moving. The words spilled out, fueled by the fire simmering darkly in her heart. "Help me teach Leah and her friends a lesson," Dawn said in a loud, clear voice. She met the fairy's eyes. "And I'll give you the spinning wheel back." But not yet. Maleficent's eyebrow arched in surprise. "What do you mean, child?" That was when Dawn's street smarts kicked in. She'd learned a lot of lessons growing up in the city. She had to be sure that the fairy could actually do what she promised, and, most importantly, that she would keep her end of the bargain. Dawn held the fairy's gaze. She didn't back down or show any weakness. For the first time since she'd arrived, she started to feel like her old self. "First, you have to prove to me that you can punish Leah and those kids for what they did," Dawn said. Standing up to the fairy was terrifying, but she forced herself to continue. "Then, I'll give you the spinning wheel back. Do we have a deal?" "Caw, caw!" Maleficent's trusted raven screeched as it flapped its wings. Then the cackle echoed out again. Dawn shuddered at the sound. "After the sun sets on her 13th birthday tonight," Maleficent proclaimed, "so it shall be granted. You'll see the proof, I promise. Then you must bring me the spinning wheel back before the sun sets again tomorrow night. Do you understand?" Dawn couldn't back out. Not now. "Yes, I agree," she said. And then the dark fairy raised her staff and brought it down. Crack! The noise echoed through the shed. The raven took off. The flames erupted higher. Then, in a puff of smoke, the fairy vanished, sucked back into the spinning wheel. Emerald flames shot out and engulfed Dawn's body. She collapsed to the ground and writhed around, trying to put them out. The raven kept cawing and circling her. She couldn't breathe suddenly, and it was just like she was suffocating. What did I just do? Dawn thought dimly through the searing pain enveloping her whole body. When the fairy vanished, it was like whatever magic spell had made Dawn trust her evaporated too. Fear rushed back in its place, coupled with something worse. Regret. Her vision dimmed, and then everything went black.